Welcome to all. We know that always in classroom, instead of verbal instruction, when we use pictures, that speaks a lot. Or other words, we can say a picture is better than thousand words. So in today's session, we are going to discuss about planning for teaching aids. This unit is part of the course MES 006 Managing Teaching Learning. And in this session, the objective is to identify the use of the teaching aids, then classify the different types of teaching aids, and to develop understanding about the principles how to use teaching aids effectively. When we think of the teaching aids, the first thing that comes in our mind, whether it is just teaching aids only. And in the present context, we know that teaching and learning is taking place together. So otherwise, we can say that these are teaching learning resources. It's a type of resource. So let us see what is the meaning of teaching aids. When we look at the definition, we can see that the teaching learning aid helps the teacher to make learning more concrete, effective, interesting, inspirational, meaningful, and vivid. So, this is an important aspect when we look at the teaching aids. And this teaching aids, it always worth better than the verbal instruction. So teaching aids, it helps not only in supplementing the teaching process, it also makes the content more clear. So here we can see that the teaching aids, the audio visual aids are those sensory objects or images that initiate or stimulate curriculum and reinforce learning. And we can see that this teaching aids, it also help in completing the triangular process of learning. What is happening in the triangular process of learning? That is motivation, classification, and stimulation. So instead of the verbal instruction, we can see that when we use the teaching aids, it inspires the learners to acquire more. So it motivates the teaching learning process, and we can see that the students are able to capture the abstract concept when we teach through a thing which is identified or something, the abstract concept which can be shown to the learners in a concrete way. Then we can see that those devices that help communication of ideas between persons and groups in various teaching and learning situations. So here we can see that the teacher, how it is using the teaching aids, that is an important thing. Another thing, what is the importance of using teaching aids, that it helps the learning process to increase or retain the learning process. We know that sometimes when we read just the verbal instruction, it may not be able to retain the learning for a long time. So what is important is that when we link that particular learning thing to a concept that is visible in our mind, when we look at a picture, we will develop a mental schema. So with the help of that mental schema, we are able to retain the learning process. Then we can say that this teaching aids, it is really a supplementary to the classroom teaching. And when we look at some statements put forward by great educationists, we can see that William Arthur Ward, he used the statement that the mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, and the great teacher inspires. So this is the basic that we have to think whether we want to become a mediocre teacher or a good teacher or a superior teacher or a great teacher. So when we want try to demonstrate, there comes the importance of the teaching aids. So this is one type of statements. Other statements that is related with the teaching aids it's coming. So we can see that in the 20th century, Nelson I. Green used the term visual education. This term was first used by Nelson I. Green. This visual education has give the foundation for the importance of using teaching aids. When we look at the Irish Ashby, he identified 4 revolutions in education. First one, education from home to school, written word as tool of education, then invention of printing and use of books, and the 4th revolution in the use of electronic media. So here now we are in the 4th revolution stage where we can see the electronic media revolution. And I have already stated that in the 20th century the term visual education was introduced. And when we look at the work done by Erasmus, he always stated that instead of the verbal description, instead of applying that type of technique, if we use teaching aids as a technique or visual aid as a technique, that increase the learning ability of the learner. And Comenius also has identified some pictures and developed a book for that. And we can see that this electronic revolution, now it has increased, and now we know that during the pandemic situation, how we are able to connect with the people who are staying far away. Or otherwise, in the case of IGNOU, we are providing our programs to international learners. So the Golgayana project, then the eVidya Bharathi project, this denotes that how we are able to connect each other and how we are using the different teaching aids to interact with the international learners. And next statement that is related with the teaching aids, it was put forward by Coburn in the year 1968. He stated that 10% of what they read will be retained, 20% of what they hear, 30% of what they see, 50% of what they hear and see, and 70% of what they say, and 90% of what they say as they do a thing. So this is the way how when we look at the retention of learning through the use of teaching aids, how it is applied. And another common statement that we use is that I hear, I forget, I see, I remember, I do, I understand. So these 3 statements shows how the teaching aids are important in any instructional purpose instead of the verbal description. So next we can see the need and importance of teaching aids. What are the need and importance? The first one, we can see that it's a good motivators. Then the clear images we can see and based on maxims of teaching. Let us first describe these 3 points, how it becomes a good motivator. So the teaching aids, when the teacher wants to teach about the geographical phenomena, just through the verbal description, if they show some of the pictures through the internet, it will increase the motivation of the learners. And some type of process or phenomena which is difficult to explain verbally, when it's shown or displays through a picture, it gives a clear image, and then it is based on maxims of teaching. What do we mean by the maxims of teaching? Maxims of teaching, it states that it is the principles of teaching. Then comes the benefits like supplement the verbal instruction. So let us understand some of the maxims of teaching. There are different maxims of teaching such as known to unknown, simple to complex, familiar to unfamiliar. So every type of instruction that is happening in classroom, it is based on some kind of maxims of teaching. We know that as we start a lesson, we try to integrate the lesson with the prior knowledge or the prerequisite of the learners. So that shows that from the known to the unknown, from the familiar to the unfamiliar. Then we can see that this teaching aids, it is a supplement for the verbal instruction. So verbally, we know that how we are going to teach the concept of the counting, subtraction, if we use some kind of aids, that will remain in the mind of the learner. And another need and importance when we look, it is a kind of the vicarious experience. What we cannot give the real experience, but it can be giving some kind of experience similar to the real experience. And then the variety. So the variety of teaching aids we can use, and then the concepts can be introduced in a variety of ways. Then there will be the no boring for the learner to listen to the class, or the monotonous can be removed by the use of the teaching aids. And then we can see the opportunities to manipulate. How do we manipulate all the things? Then comes the retention. So the retention of learning is an important thing in any teaching learning process. Just when we hear, we will listen and then we forget. So what is important? Retaining the learning is important. Then helpful in attracting the attention of the learners. That is an important thing. Just the verbal instruction will create boring. So in order to attract the learners, what is needed, the teaching aids is an important thing. Then helpful in fixing up new learning. How? From the teaching aids, the students can ask different types of questions. So the questions may lead the teacher to think in a different way and then explaining the content in a variety way. Then there will be the vividness. I have told that some of the phenomenon such as the folding, faulting. So this type of phenomenon, if you want to give a vivid picture carrying all the learners to the exact place, that is impossible, or a cyclone, how it happens. So all a vivid picture can be shown or displayed through the teaching aid, the digital resources. It comes for the help for the teachers. Then saving of energy and time. So I told in the beginning that a picture speaks more than the 1,000 words. So a picture itself will speaks a lot. Then the realistic. We know that we want to give a concrete experience to the learners. For that, this teaching aids is really a great helpful thing. Then catering to the individual differences. We know that each learner, their learning styles are different, their interests are different, and their aptitude are different. So in order to cater the different learning needs of individuals, this teaching aids is a very good option. Then healthy classroom interaction. We know that suppose we are giving some kind of things, the teaching aids to the learners, and asking them to interact with each other and come out with some of the ideas. So it gives an important part that where the interaction leads to a clear dialogue and understanding of some concepts. Then promotion of scientific temper, that is also an important thing. Then the development of higher abilities. So this scientific temper we can increase, and the higher abilities also we can develop through the questions how the teacher asks by showing the teaching aids, not just the superficial level. Then reinforcement. It always gives reinforcement for the learners. Then reaching remote areas. So some learners who are not able to come and observe everything. So for the such learners, these teaching aids, they are always and helpful. Then we can see the positive transfer of learning. That is an important thing, and positive environment for creative discipline. So here, the positive transfer of learning. Why do we learn? It is because we want to transfer of learning in the real life situation. So this type of positive transfer of learning is possible through the use of the teaching aids. Then discipline in the classroom can be maintained by the use of the teaching aids. So we have seen why these teaching aids are important. Then attributes of teaching aids. So there are different types of attributes. First one, when we look at, we can see it is meaningful and purposeful. Then it is simple. It should be low cost. Then up to date, easily portable, then appropriate to the mental level, motivate learners, and large enough. So let us discuss what are these attributes mean. There, instead of using teaching aids, if the teacher is using teaching aids, it doesn't give any meaning. So what is the objective of the class instruction? That should be kept in mind. That what is the objective? Based on the objective, we should prepare the content and the teaching aids. So the teaching aids, it should be always meaningful to the learner and in the context where it is using. Then it should be simple and it can be low cost. Instead of expensive teaching aids, low cost teaching aids can be made by the learners itself from the waste materials. Such type of practices the teachers should encourage. And then it should be up to date, not outdated, up to date teaching aids. Then easily portable teaching aids. Easily carrying teaching aids is an important for the learners. Otherwise, when we make some teaching aids of plaster of Paris, when the size is more, it is not able to move from one place to the other. So portable type teaching aids is very much useful. And then we can see that it should appropriate to the age and needs of the learner. So different types of teaching aids we can make according to the age and level of the learner, and the teaching aids motivate the learners. So we have seen the different attributes of teaching aids. Next, coming to the teaching aids, what is important is that the principles for effective use of teaching aids. So from the attributes itself, we will get an idea. So among these, the principles for effective use of teaching aids, we can see the principle of selection, principle of preparation, principle of physical control, principle of response, principle of proper presentation, principle of evaluation. So here we can see the different principles which are working when we use a teaching aids. So let us first discuss the first principle, that is the principle of selection. How do we select a teaching aid? So whether it is need or not. So in order to supplement the teaching aids, we have to select the teaching aids. So the first thing, selection of an appropriate teaching aids. Suppose for example, if we want to teach some kind of counting or subtraction, that time we can bring some kind of specimens in the classroom, and then some kind of coins or some even stones also we can bring. Then we can make the learners to count it like that. Suppose we want to teach an abstract concept. There we cannot bring any specimens or models or something. There we can show the digital resources that is used in front of the classrooms in a concrete way. So principle of selection is an important aspect while using or in efficient use of teaching aids. Coming to the second principle, that is the principle of preparation. So the preparation, it neither includes that only the production or the effective making or molding of the teaching aids alone. it includes also how the teacher is prepared to use the teaching aids. Sometimes during the initial teaching service or the novice teachers, they may forget to show the apt teaching aids. So after the class, they may be thinking they have forgot to show the appropriate teaching aids. So this principle of preparation is important than the principle of physical control. That is also, we can know that there are different types of teaching aids. There will be the two-dimensional teaching aids and the three-dimensional teaching aids. So how do we manipulate? And there are still models or working models also. How do we manipulate the physical control? That is an important part while using the teaching aids. Then the principle of response. At what context we will use? What do we elicit from the learners? What type of response the teacher is expecting? So that is also an important aspect while using teaching aids. Then come the principle of proper presentation. That is, like proper selection, the principle of proper presentation is also an important part. At what level the teacher is going to introduce. There is no hard and fast rule that a teaching aid should only present in the beginning or in the development of the lesson plan. We can start the class by using a teaching aid, and during the presentation of the content also we can use, or during the evaluation part also we can use the teaching aids. It depends upon the context and the way how the teacher is using the teaching aids. And the last point, we can see that the principle of evaluation. So after using teaching aids, the teacher must know that what is the level of understanding of the learners by the use of teaching aids. That is an important part. Then coming to the next part, we can see while using teaching aids, the teacher may confront with some kind of problems. What are the problems? There are improper selection of aids, then not suitable to local needs, language difficulty, need for training supply, irregular power, financial hurdles, then ineffectiveness of the aids, indifference of students, apathy of the teachers. So first, when we look at generally, majority of the teachers may tell that it is just a waste of time. It's not like that. It shows the indifference or the apathy of the teachers. Then we can see the indifference of the students, that they may not be listening carefully, or they may not think that it is supplementing the teaching learning process. And ineffectiveness of the aid. Suppose the aid is not at all related to the context or the content. So that also may happen. So the context and the content is also important while using the teaching aids. And sometimes we may purchase very expensive teaching aids. So some kind of financial hurdles may be there. Suppose we want to teach the movement of Earth and the solar system. That time, if we try to purchase the high cost teaching aids, it's not able to meet the expense by all schools, because the locale of the school may be different. There may be rural school, urban school, tribal schools, different types of school. And while using the digital resources, the main constraint that a teacher faces is irregular supply of power. So that is also an important thing, and the need for training supply, then the language difficulty. What type of language we are using for that particular teaching aid? How do we present it? So that is also an important thing. So all these are some of the constraints of teaching aids. And when we think of these teaching aids, we can see that it is related with Edgar Dale's concept of cone of experience. So what is this cone of experience? It is a visual model. So this visual model, it is composed of 11 stages, which is starting from concrete experience at the bottom of the cone. Then it comes more and more abstract as it reaches the peak. So here the arrangement It is based on its difficulty, not on its difficulty, but rather based on abstraction. So here we can see on the screen a display of this cone of experience. While looking at this cone of experience, we can note that it is arranged from the bottom to the top. What is coming at the bottom? The concrete experiences are coming, and then we can reach to the abstract level. So what is important in this is that from the concrete experience and based on its abstractness and the number of senses that we want to use, in that way the hierarchical order is going up from the bottom to the top. Let us see that at the bottom what we can see, that is the direct purposeful experiences, then comes the contrived experiences, then comes the dramatized experiences, then the demonstration, field trips, exhibits, motion pictures, audio recordings, then pictures, text. So here we can see what type of the degree of senses we are using. That is, from at the bottom level we are using the motor skills and attitudes, then comes the cognitive skills, then we are reaching to the information, gaining the information. So this is an important base for using the teaching aids. So the teaching aids, when we think of the teaching aids, the concept of cone of experience put forward by Edgar Dale will come to our mind. So as stated above, there are 11 stages. These stages, they are not based on its abstractness or difficulty level. It is based on the abstract, not on the difficulty level. It is based on the abstractness and the number of senses. How much senses we have to use. There are 5 senses that we used while learning in teaching learning process. So in that, how much senses we used is an important thing. At the same time, when we want to compare the retention of learning in this Edgar Dale's cone of experience, what we can see, 10% of what they read, 20% of what they hear, 30% of what they see, 50% of what they see and hear, 70% of what they say and write, and 90% of what they do. So this picture itself will give a understanding that how much a learner can retain. So we have discussed about what do we mean by teaching aids, and then what are the principles that we have to follow while selecting teaching aids, and the principles for the efficient utilization of teaching aids, and the problems that confront by the teachers while using teaching aids. And the next one, that how the concept of cone of experience is linked to the concept of teaching aids and how teaching aids can be used effectively. Hope that this teaching aids, which is an important supplement in the teaching learning process, will motivate and reinforce the learning process that is happening in the real classroom context. Thank you.
Do you wish to be part of a television studio like this, or any other media system, or already part of any media system, want to enhance a new set of skills? Welcome to School of Journalism New Media Studies. Here in the School of Journalism New Media Studies, we are offering program for all set of people to learn and enhance the media skills. The vision of School of Journalism and New Media Studies is to generate a new set of professionals in the area of media and communication studies with understanding about role of media in the national development and global understanding. We offer innovative programs in the field of journalism and mass communication that sets the benchmark of high quality learning and teaching process at the national level. We offer these programs across the country with the help of our regional network as well as study center. Same manner, many of our programs are offered through online mode with a sophisticated learning management system. SOGNMS offers programs from PhD in journalism and mass communication till certificate level. We have masters in journalism and mass communication. The eligibility is a bachelor's degree, and we are introducing this program in 3 languages: Hindi, Tamil and English. Students from national and international students can join either through online mode as well as in the distance mode. We have 4 postgraduate diploma programs, specialized areas in the field of development communication, digital media, electronic media and journalism and mass communication program. And all these 4 programs are available in distance mode. 2 programs are available in online mode, development communication and digital media. And we have specialized certificate program in community radio. IGNOU employs various media and communication tools for better teaching and learning process. School of Journalism and New Media Studies utilizes this media system for delivering all our programs. Come and join with us for exploring a new career and enhance your media skills.
Namaskar. Welcome to this session on curriculum development from Staff Training and Research Institute of Distance Education. I, Professor Miteshwar Ratra, welcome you all. And today we are going to discuss from MDE 416 course, Block 2, Unit 1. So before we move on further in this session, we should remember that recently we had a National Policy for Education, NEP 2020, and this has resulted into the emphasis and importance of curriculum in the present day times. So what is the concept of curriculum design? The basis for which the curriculum is based on. It brings into focus the ways in which the curricula are created, especially the actual arrangement of the parts of the curriculum plan. The curriculum plan and design are sometimes known as also curriculum organization, and it refers to the arrangement of the elements of curriculum into a substantive entity. The parts sometimes called the components or elements or parts of the curriculum design. And the aim of the curriculum design or the arrangement of the curriculum design is based on the aims, goals, objectives, subject matter, learning experiences, and evaluation approaches. This was the definition given by Onston and Hunkins in 1986. And with this, we understand that the curriculum design for any program in the sense that whether we are talking about commerce, we are talking about medicine, we are talking about nursing, we are talking about education or distance education, all programs of study are based upon a curriculum design for which the basis is laid out by what were the aims, goals, objectives, subject matter, learning experiences, and evaluation approach for that particular study that has been emphasized into. This is also based upon the for this program of study, MADE, in which you are learning about the curriculum design that is required for distance education programs or that is required for any education program, you have to remember that anything that one is studying, even the curriculum design for a preschooler child is also laid out. For just school going children, it is also laid out, whether it is class first, 12th, or whether it is BA General, whether it is BSc specific chemistry. Every program of study has a specific curriculum design, and each curriculum design has aims, goals, objectives, subject matter, learning experiences, and evaluation approaches. So now we will discuss what are the curriculum paradigms on which the curriculum is designed. There are three curriculum paradigms on basis of which the curriculum is designed. These are the practical paradigms, the emancipatory paradigm, and the empirical paradigm. So first we discuss what is the practical paradigms, and before that let us understand the meaning of paradigms. It is considered that when we are talking about paradigm, the need and the emphasis on what the curriculum would be based upon, whether it is whether the curriculum will be empirical or not, whether it will be emancipatory or not, whether it will be practical paradigm or not, is based upon what paradigm as a curriculum planner one has decided upon. So when we begin with, we also look into the meaning of paradigm. And when we look into the meaning of the paradigm, one understands that the paradigm cannot be static. It keeps on changing, it is dynamic, and it also incorporates the changes that are brought into from time to time into our discussions. And so we consider the importance of the two questions. What considerations are most relevant when we frame a curriculum? How do we think about these considerations? So when we are discussing paradigms, it becomes important that we are able to consider these questions, we are able to answer these questions. So only when we are able to answer what and how about these questions, we are also able to answer how we are going to frame our curriculum. So now we come over to the practical paradigm. So when we are discussing the practical paradigm, the curriculum is defined as between continuous interaction among teachers, learners, subject matter, and environment. During practical paradigm, the curriculum is something between the continuous interaction in between the scale or between teacher, learner, subject matter, and environment. And the definition of the practical paradigm also admits the entire culture of the classroom as the curriculum. This includes everything that happens there, both subject matter and environment. So a curriculum thus becomes the anything that influences, shapes the thoughts, feelings, outlook, behavior of the learners. So when we are discussing a practical paradigm, we take into the consideration that what is consciously being understood by the learners, what is consciously being or even unconsciously the students are incorporating between among themselves, the curriculum that is present in the classroom, which may or may not be overt, which can be inert also. So this all lays the emphasis for having practical paradigm, and it is based on the assumptions that the source of problems is found in the actual state of affairs and not in the hypothesis of researchers who have to find similarities among situations that cannot be grouped together convincingly. So the subject matter sought in the process of practical curriculum inquiry is situational insight, and it is not generalist in approach. The curriculum is the primary end of practical curriculum inquiry. It increases the capacity to act morally and effectively in the pedagogical situations and does not need to generate generalized knowledge. So the role of the curriculum is not to only increase the generalized information or the knowledge in the among the learners, but also to increase the capacity to act morally and effectively in the pedagogical situations given. So the method of practical curriculum inquiry is to direct interaction with the state of affairs to be studied. So one understands that in this curriculum, learner is not expected to clearly be able to define that these are the only things that are right, or these are the only things that will have an impact on the curriculum. The democratic classroom also provides an answer and prevents further cost in understanding. The classrooms also clearly exist and so would need extra resources, and students and teachers could enter into actual dialogue about what is worthwhile for them to do. And this does not depend, however, only on the practical curriculum inquiry. It also exists in the classroom setting. So, with this, we move on to our next curriculum framework, which is emancipatory paradigm. This paradigm was suggested by John Dewey in 1916, and according to John Dewey, education should reconstruct the society. It may suggest that to understand the culture of one or more classrooms, we must probe deeply and broadly into the culture in which those classrooms have come into being. So we understand that we cannot be content thinker in the classroom problems of the hope of evolving a better society when the roots of those problems lie deep within society itself. So this also leads to what are the questions that critical theorists would be thinking about when they are concerned with the curriculum. So how is knowledge reproduced by schools? What are the sources of knowledge that students acquire in the classroom? How do students and teachers resist or contest that which is conveyed through lived experiences in classrooms? So so before we move further, let us understand how is knowledge reproduced by schools. So we have to understand as a critical thinker that whether the knowledge was reproduced by what was discussed in the by the class teacher only representing, say, physics curriculum, or what other questions that were raised by the other students in the classroom were also considered as part of knowledge. So when we are saying the sources of knowledge that students acquire in the classroom would be whether the sources of the knowledge is only the lecture that is being given, or also the questions that are being raised, or the only the study material that has been provided. So all these become the sources of knowledge. So next question that is raised by the critical theorist is, how do students and teachers resist or contest that which is conveyed through lived experience in classroom? So can students or teachers, or both students and teachers, resist anything, any conversation or any interaction that is taking place in the actual classroom setting, or is it all orchestrated that it will this question will be asked, how this will be presented, but it is never so done? In a lived or an actual classroom experience, the teacher and the student's behavior may change depending upon each other. The teacher may ask a question which, and the reply of the student may lead to another question. So all this happens as a part of the knowledge being created. So when we are being, so next question comes into the mind: what do students and teachers realize from their classroom experiences? In other words, what impact does the classroom have on their outlooks? So whatever the experience, whatever the questions that have been raised by the teacher, and whatever the questions that the students have raised and the teachers have answered, and vice versa, whosoever is raising, but it is bringing a certain classroom experience in the class. They are indulging into an outlook which may be different from slightly from what they are understanding in the subject matter, and it would also have impact upon their outlooks. The outlook over here will not be only specific to subject matter. Somehow the interactions that take place in the class will also impact the students' learning vis-a-vis their morals also. So now whose interests are served by the outlooks and skills fostered by schools? So the next critical theorist concern is, now whose interests are we fostering in the classroom? Whether the skills that are being learned by the student in the classroom are being going to be actually utilized in the social setups, or say when we are expecting the student to after finishing a certain class, the student now we have national skills framework also coming up so as to foster skills. So when we are talking about the outlooks, we are talking about this what is the interest of the others, we have also to look into the curriculum design back, what was expected from the curriculum design and what is being shown. So when served, do these interests move in the direction of emancipation, equity and social justice, or do they move in the opposite direction? The ultimate aim of all societies is to bring about emancipation, to bring about equity, to bring about social justice. So when any curriculum is being planned, one has to look into that the classroom setup, the subject matter, the interactions in the class between students and teachers should lead to emancipation, equity and social justice among the students ultimately. So then next question that arises is, how can students be empowered to attain greater liberation, equity and social justice through schooling alone? So one has to realize that schooling alone is not going to be an powerful agent in the life of the student's life. Another powerful agent that is outside the school is also the peer group outside the school and the peer group inside the school. The learning taking place outside the school and learning taking place inside the school all have an impact. But at the same time, when we are talking as theorists, when we are talking as teachers of the school, we realize that the maximum time that the student is expected to learn is also in the classroom setup, and this is the time when the student is being taught to attain greater liberation, to have understanding about equity, to have understanding about social justice, to treat others with respect and to be treated also with respect. So with this, we also now come over to our next paradigm, that is the empirical paradigm. Now, Tyler has given this paradigm in 1949, and this remains the guiding factor in the curriculum framework in the present day today. And in this paradigm, which is popularly known as Tyler's rationale, or empirical or analytical paradigm. In this paradigm, Tyler has identified four important questions that that any particular given curriculum should be able to answer. What are the educational purposes should curriculum aim for or try to attain? How can learning experiences be selected to meet the educational purposes identified? How should learning experiences be organized for effective instruction? How can effectiveness of learning experiences be evaluated? So it is when we are talking about this paradigm, we also understand that the educational purposes that should attain through curriculum and it for try to attain, one has to frame some questions, one has to frame some experiences and purposes that clearly outline our purpose for curriculum, this empirical paradigm. So when we are discussing empirical paradigm, what now next we will discuss in our few more slides today will be based upon empirical paradigm. So we have to create an educational setting for which these are the basis of our essentials for curriculum, which are based on the empirical paradigm. And when we are talking about this, this answers the Tyler's four questions that we just now studied: the educational purposes that the curriculum should aim for and try to attain, how the learning experiences be selected to meet the educational purposes, how should learning experiences be organized for effective instruction, and how the effectiveness of learning experiences be evaluated. So when we are discussing the essentials, we come to the settings of educational purposes. Any and every education is under a purpose, under a setting that leads to the purposes of education, and we look into the possible purposes for education that may touch the criteria that may be used as a basis for selecting the corresponding learning experiences. And we should also remember that there is always an dynamic interplay that cannot be separated as visualized, and it is only for our purposes of analysis and ease of presentation that we try to separate these four dynamics, that this is global, behavioral, evolving, and expressing. So when we are talking about global, these are the broad based statements of the purposes of education. We frame curriculum depending on how we perceive the broad purpose of education. So we may have an example from Plato saying that the life is virtuous as the ultimate aim of education, while Aristotle thought that happiness is the ultimate aim of education. So the specifics that they advocated for educational practices were directed towards attaining these ends. So this is like, if I believe into Plato's education, then the ultimate aim of goal of education would be to lead a virtuous life. If I am leading a educational purpose as Aristotle's, then the ultimate purpose of education would be lead to happiness. So this is how we will make the global purpose of educational purpose setting understandable. Next, we come to the behavioral aspect of the educational purposes. So we define behavioral objectives as very specific statements of purpose for which an end result, terminal behavior, is stated in observable terms. So when we are talking of observable terms, we may state that this can be done historically through behavioral aspects, and we may recollect that over here, that the behavioral aspects that are understandable through observable terms are recall, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. So when we are using these terms, we are actually using these terms in the behavioral aspect, that these can be understandable, and then if they are understandable in the aspect of education, then the purpose is achieved. So these taxonomies, especially a very well-known name, Bloom's taxonomy, has to be framed into behavioral aspects now, that I am able to see what has been happening. So next of our purpose for education curriculum would be evolving. Now when we are talking about the evolving purpose, that it suggests that the objectives are not the pre-specifications of educational experience, but the outcomes of such experiences. For example, students as human beings want to engage in learning experiences that satisfy their needs. In this context, we as teachers should discuss with them the probable consequences of these student-centered purposes. And now the next expressive setting of the curriculum is on expressive. So the expressive objectives assume that it is sometimes desirable to provide activities for students without pre-specification or even a clear idea of what the outcome will be. The rationale behind this argument is that students should not be constrained by predetermined goals. Teachers and students should be able to discover what the experience has in store for them. And on this basis, then we develop a curriculum, and by identifying the target audience, their needs, and of course, on the needs of the potential target group will be to great extent based on the assumptions that we as curriculum framework people make. So as external factors like socio-cultural milieu will play a vital role in shaping learner needs, it is imperative that these factors be studied much in detail, which we will discuss in some of our a few more lectures on this. So now we come over to discuss what is the deciding learning experiences. What decides the learning experiences that the student should have from the school, from the classroom, from the teacher who is teaching. So the curriculum should have certain inbuilt learning experiences which are based upon the subject matter, the learning activities, and the learning experiences. So, what we understand as from the subject matter orientation for the learners would be it is traditionally treated as the knowledge that has to be acquired, the emphasis on the knowledge to be disseminated from the educators to learners. The content in the course of time has come into the material covered in the text. Curriculum guides often list pages that are to be covered or mastered by different dates on the calendar. Lectures and textbooks remain dominant providers of content as subject matter. So, what has to be taught is directly the answer for this content as subject matter. So, over here, the practice of what and why questions is often addressed to and is often answered also from this subject matter as content. So the curricular content is that also in which what is to be learned, the subject matter, the disciplines of the knowledge, and the appropriate different age groups and the ability of the learners has to be looked into while imparting the subject matter. So, learning as content activities. Over here, the learning activities used over here would refer to the what students should do as contrasted to what and which are presented with and expected to learn the outcome. It is obvious that the subject matter emphasis assumes that the learners are passive recipients, and such view clearly negates much that developmental and cognitive psychologists have made known to us. The learning activity approach focuses on behavioral outcomes. In essence, it becomes a way of involving students in something that grabs their attention and but need not necessarily attend to their basic needs. So the basic questions of the curriculum may not be covered, but it will definitely enhance their learning experiences, like say doing some project work. So in practice, the activity actually becomes an end in itself, and merely doing the activity emerges as the purpose rather than using the activity to actually fulfill the purpose or need of learning. So next we come over to the learning content as learning experiences. As we had said that Tyler had given the empirical design for curriculum framework. So we come over to we discuss learning experiences that have been emphasized over here. It seems that intentionally the term learning experiences has been used to differentiate the words with subject matter and activity as content. It he be expressed that with which the term learning experiences is not the same as the content, and the course deals with the activities performed by these learners and teachers. Instead, it refers to the interaction between the teacher and the external conditions. So, in this, the criteria for selecting the matter would be based on the social needs, tests of survival, utility, publishers' decisions, political pressures, learners' interest. And when we are organizing the content, it is based on the subject matters, projects, core, integrations, and other things that we include are the textual presentation, educator preference, structure of the disciplines, learner's interest, learning hierarchies, developmental appropriateness. And with this, we also come to our end of this session with the environmental organization that has to be taken into consideration. The matter has to be self-contained, departmentalized, non-graded, open space, open education tutorial, and non-school education has also to be at times be emphasized into. And so with this, we come to this end of this session, and see you in some other session. Namaskar.
wear clothes on a daily basis. But have we ever wondered, where do our clothes come from? Who makes our clothing? And who are the people and the process responsible for the whole manufacturing of our clothing? If you want to know more about this, Indira Gandhi National Open University from the School of Continuing Education has launched a program which is Certificate in Apparel Merchandising. There are many benefits after doing this program. You can become a designer in various fields. It can be fashion designer, apparel designer, costume designer, or even a textile designer. One can also work as a fashion consultant. Research and development is another field which one can take up after doing this certificate course. Going into academics is another perk after doing this program. Getting into fashion houses or fashion studios as an intern is also a very good option post doing the certificate in apparel merchandising. The basic eligibility of the program is 10+2. The duration of the program is 6 months to 2 years. The program is also available for both the admission cycles, which is July and January. The exams are conducted twice a year, in June and December. So what are you waiting for? Join this program and get an enriching knowledge in the field of apparel merchandising. And to do so, you can log on to the official website of the university, www.ignou.ac.in.
A warm welcome to IGNOU. If you are creative, if you can write well, and if you can visualize, mass communication is the correct career option for you. I am going to talk about postgraduate diploma in journalism and mass communication, which is also the first year of MA program in journalism and mass communication. So any learner who has done a postgraduate diploma in journalism and mass communication is eligible to take admission straight away into the second year of our master's program in journalism and mass communication. Duration to complete this program is minimum 1 year, and because we have this inherent flexibility in distance education system, you can take up to 3 years to complete this program. The minimum eligibility criteria for taking admission in this program is bachelor's in any discipline. To give you a glimpse of what are the various components of this program, we begin with telling you what mass communication is, what are the various areas, various branches of mass communication. Then we go on to tell you about the various reporting techniques and beats of reporting, followed by media ethics, the principles, the codes of conduct that you must follow, and we also focus on the writing skills and editing skills for print media. Now this program comprises of 8 courses of 4 credits each. 25% of the entire program is practical based. So we have 6 theory courses and 2 practical courses. This program is
Hello
and welcome to the session on programs in School of Social Work. I am Professor Rose Nembia Kim, Faculty School of Social Work, and today for discussion regarding various programs in the School of Social Work, I have here with me Dr. Shantini Gwyn. She is an Associate Professor in the School of Social Work, and I have Dr. Binod Kumar, who is also a faculty in the School of Social Work. So now, without further ado, I would like to start with the School of Social Work, and it is my privilege to welcome all of you who has been and who will be and who are a part of the School of Social Work programs. Now, we all know that the School of Social Work, as we love to call it like SOSW, at Indira Gandhi National Open University, was established in the year 2007. It aims at providing quality education and in the areas of social work, HIV/AIDS, counseling, and family studies by offering various programs leading to the award of PhD degree, a master's program, bachelor's degree, as well as certificate and diplomas, which we will be discussing in the coming time. Now, the School of Social Work at IGNOU is the first school of social work to be offering social work programs in the open and distance learning mode. It is the first school of social work in India to take social work education to all the states and union territories in the country. It has indigenously developed high-quality self-instructional materials and uses multimedia approach for imparting social work teaching and training both in English and in Hindi. Now, we also offer social work programs to in-service learners as well as engages a large number of practitioners for field supervision. Now, this brings me to the next aspect about the vision of the School of Social Work. Now, the vision of the School of Social Work is to provide inclusive and quality education in social work across the country and beyond the borders. And our mission, like any other quality education institution, is to provide quality education through open and distance learning using multi-pronged strategies and services to reach the unreached with an emphasis on social work, values, and ethics, whereby improving the services in social welfare sectors. So having said all this, I would like to discuss few about the objectives, and I read. The objectives of the School of Social Work is to promote human resources aiming at improving the quality of life of poorest of the poor, to meet the growing demand for professionally trained social workers across the country, to provide social work education and training based on indigenous knowledge and uniform curriculum across the country, and also to help the learner acquire professional skill and knowledge to further their client dealing with the emotional and psychological problems, to help learners acquire professional skills and develop capacity in helping people to solve various social and economic problems, and finally, to help learners to develop required attitudes in understanding people's problem solving intervention. Now, these are the vision, mission, and objective of the School of Social Work that I have shared with you. Now, in short, I'm going to talk to you about the various programs the School of Social Work offers. The first one is we offer doctors in philosophy. We're leading to this is a PhD program. Then we have Masters in Social Work, another Masters in Social Work with a specialization in counseling. Then we have Bachelor in Social Work programs, which is also offered both in the ODL mode as well as the online mode, and the faculty sitting here with me will be discussing the same in a short while. Then we have Diploma in HIV/AIDS and Family Education and Certificate in HIV/AIDS and Family Education. Then we have Certificate in Social Work and Criminal Justice System, Certificate in Tribal Studies, and Postgraduate Diploma in Counseling. So these are the kind of programs that we are offering, the School of Social Work is offering for you as a learner. And if you're interested, please feel free to log into the website www.ignou.ac.in and take your enrollment and admission. So without further ado, I will just talk about the PhD program, what we are offering. So it aims at providing skills and training professionals, both who could be teachers and practitioners, in the skills and competencies related to systematic investigation of various issues and problems in the area of social work. So under this, a candidate who is eligible for the PhD in social work have to have a minimum of master degree in social work. We do not take any other subject. We take only students who have their master's degree in social work, and once the advertisement are out on the website and in the newspaper, you can apply for the same, take your exams, and then there's an interview schedule for it, and that's how you enter the social work programs in Indira Gandhi National Open University for the PhD program. And this is as per the UGC regulation, so there is no distance mode, there is no online mode, nothing. This is just plain as any other university we're offering under the UGC schemes and regulation. Now with this, I'll talking about briefly about the other program, that is Masters in Social Work, which is definitely sought after. Now the Masters in Social Work is offered only through the ODL mode, that is the Open and Distance Learning mode, and it provides opportunity to learners for higher education, higher studies in professional social work. Besides offering the core courses pertaining to social work curriculum across the globe and India, it includes theme in some of the emerging areas of social work such as globalization, migration, history of social work in India, and theory paper on social work practicum, as well as a course on HIV/AIDS and family education. Now, these are expected to be highly useful in the present day context, because we are dealing with a lot of problems, a lot of issues, as well as a lot of intervention strategies. So that is where the Masters in Social Work comes into play. And we also provide the learners hands-on training, which will enable the candidate to find suitable placement within and outside the country. And the program is of credits, like in IGNOU we have credit system, and with time, as per the norms, we also increase our credits and rework on certain things, and the fees also is as IGNOU norms, so it's subject to change. And for more details, you could check up on the website. Now, similarly, as mentioned before, we have Masters in Social Work Counseling, which is a professional course. It's with specialization in counseling. So the School of Social Work is offering Masters in Social Work Counseling in the ODL mode, and this program provides both academic learning and professional education and training in counseling, extending beyond theoretical knowledge. Now, this MSW counseling is tailored to suit counselors working in a wide range of organizational and community contexts, as well as individuals in a family. So you can see there's a lot of hands-on training, lots of intervention policies planned, and there's a lot of field work also, where the students are involved in community work, internship. So they're able to learn not only on in theory, whatever they're learning, they're able to juxtapose it with the practice aspect, so that there is an integration of theory and practice here. So the program MSWC is offered both in English and Hindi, but only in the ODL system. So we do not have the option of online in this program. So we also have a field work in relation to this, and with this I have given you a brief about what MSW and MSWC counseling is all about. And to know more about the details in terms of Bachelor in Social Work, I'll hand over the session to Dr. Shantini. She's the coordinator in Bachelor in Social Work programs, and she'll be talking to you in much more detail about what the Bachelor in Social Work entails. Yeah, Dr. Shantini.
Thank you. The Bachelor Degree in Social Work program is undergraduate program. It is offered both in the open and distance learning mode, as well as it is also offered in the online mode. The program code for the BSW program, which is offered in ODL mode, is BSWG, and the program code for the BSW, which is offered in the online mode, it is BSWGOL. So the bachelor degree program in social work is meant for people who are interested in providing professional assistance to people in need. So in this program, we give training, which is a professional training and degree in social work, and learners who complete this program, they are able to work in socially relevant areas such as healthcare, community development, education, industry, counseling, correction, social defense, and they can also work with women, children, etc. So this program will be particularly useful for people who are already employed in the middle and lower levels with the NGOs, And also, it is very important and it is open to fresh candidates who may like to work in social and social welfare sectors. So, the total credit of BSWG program is 132, and it comprises of 12 theory courses of 6 credits each and 6 fieldwork practicums of 10 credit each. Now, the whole program is divided into 6 semesters, and it is the minimum duration for completion of this program is 3 years, and but the learner has the flexibility to complete it within a maximum period of 6 years. So although it is divided into semester wise, but the admissions are happening yearly. I mean, twice a year admissions happen, that is January and July session. Exams are happening now yearly. So if we talk about the various theory and courses, we cover several aspects of the social work field, which includes the professional social work, its values, and we also teach about society, social institutions. We teach about various social work methods such as casework, group work, community organization, social welfare administration, social work research, social action. We also talk about community development, social policy, HIV and family education, human growth, counseling, behavior, and social work in family setting. So all these theory courses the students are able to learn and understand, and along with the theory component, every semester there is a component of field work. So whatever the students are learning during their theory courses, they are able to practice it and get a hands-on training during their 25 days field work. So these field work is of 25 days every semester, and it is divided. There are several components of field work as well, and these are the minimum requirements for the BSWG program. So the eligibility, as I said, is 10 plus 2. Anyone who has done plus 2 can appear for admission. And right now the program fee is rupees 16,200, which is definitely subject to change. And the medium of instruction of this program is English and Hindi. A learner may take up this course in both the language. So now I request Dr. Binod to speak about our certificate programs.
The School of Social Work offers a number of certificates and diploma programs, and when we specifically talk about certificate and diploma program, the prominent one is the diploma in HIV and family education. So the same certificate in HIV and family education, these two courses, in short we call it CAFE and DAFE program. This is one of the oldest course which a school has been offering, and the program aims to develop sensitivity to the paraprofessional health workers, community health worker, outreach workers in the community, those who are working for the sensitization related to health issues and specifically related to HIV, sex, sexuality, transgender. All these issues are described in detail, and these courses are covering particularly the sections which are largely ignored in other education or other courses. So when we talk about diploma in family and HIV and family education, this is providing basic and accurate information about HIV/AIDS, family education, and problems related to alcohol and drugs, communication, counseling. So the courses of this certificate and diploma courses are designed to impart an integrated understanding of learner about issues involved in the HIV/AIDS behavior modification. The objective of the program is to enhance knowledge and skill of functionaries who are directly or indirectly working for HIV and related issues. And the eligibility for this program is 10 plus 2, and these programs are offered in distance ODL mode. Next program which I am going to talk is very unique in the sense that it bridges the link between social work and law. That name of the program is Certificate in Social Work and Criminal Justice System. So when we talk about criminal justice system, we all the time we heard about large number of under trials, those who are languishing in jails. And when we talk about these problems, we hardly find any suitable course across India, either in traditional mode or distance mode. So this course is sui generis in itself and unique opportunity for learners, those who are trying to work with under trials or those who are having interest in learning the criminal justice system with a special reference to the marginalized community. So when I talk about marginalized community, you will see that there are many communities who are representing large in number in jails, Indian jails. Specifically, if you talk about scheduled tribe and scheduled caste, proportionately they are overrepresented in jails. And there are various reports and there are various government committees that has been set up to look into this particular problem. So what I am trying to say is that this particular course is a unique opportunity, and it wants to create and it intends to create para-professional, those who are working into the link of law and social work. And when we talk about different component of the program Certificate in Social Work and Criminal Justice System, it comprises of 16 credits. As per IGNOU, all courses are into the credits. So this course is of 16 credit and eligibility is 10 plus 2. Another component which is very important is that 50% of this particular course as of now is field work. That means you have to prepare field work, and we are going to talk in detail about the field work, but just wanted to highlight that these are the components which are very important when we are talking about certificate in social work and criminal justice system. Another very important course which is there in our school is that certificate in tribal studies. You will hardly find any certificate program or even courses for the matter on tribal studies. This is unique, and the content, if you go through, you will find that contents intersects all across India, and you will find that the contents of certificate in tribal studies cross connects the issues and challenges of different tribal communities in different parts of the country, ranging from northeast to east and south to north, even Jammu and Kashmir. So the point what I was making is that this program is unique in the sense that this program is offered in both ODL and online. And when we talk about this program, the takers are coming from the varied discipline, and this program is quickly and slowly taking pace, and many learners are coming because this is a unique opportunity. If you see the tribal studies itself is growing discipline, or the you can say area which is growing by the passage of time. There are a lot of things which has to be done, and this course provides a wonderful opportunity for learners when they talk when they have intention to learn about different tribal problems and the issues related to tribes. And that's it. I guess this is the program which our school is offering.
Yeah, so I think it's very interesting when we look at the School of Social Work, because like Dr. Shantini has mentioned about the credits and all. So I would like to inform the learners here that, or the prospective learners that we have, When you talk about Masters in Social Work, the coordinator for this program under the school is Dr. Soumya. She will be heading the program, she is coordinating the program. And Masters in Social Work Counseling is with Dr. Ramya. And we have the PhD program, and we have Dr. Dilip Diwakar, who is also the coordinator for the PhD program. So any questions, any queries related to PhD should be referred to him. And as mentioned, Dr. Shantini is definitely looking after BSW program. And Dr. Binod here with me is looking at criminal justice, social work in criminal justice system. And he is on the verge of revising the same program. So definitely it is a very unique program, trying to bring together new versions of the law, which is definitely changing with due course of time. Then we have a certificate and diploma in HIV and family education, that is under the coordinatorship of Dr. Mahesh. And we have postgraduate diploma in counseling, which we have also mentioned, and Dr. Ramya is the coordinator. So I think all in all, this is what the school has.
Yeah. If I may add, the learners can write to sosw@ignou.ac.in in case they want to know
Yes.
further about the programs. Yeah.
Yes.
And specifically, they can also write to the program coordinators. They can visit the websites.
Email IDs are provided in the websites. Students can read about the programs in the program guides, which are uploaded in the school portion of the website. So they can also get a glimpse of the study materials through eGyan Kosh.
Yes, so that is a lot of relevant information. In the beginning, we mentioned about IGNOU website, that is www.ignou.ac.in. The website provided by IGNOU is definitely full in detail. Everything, all the information is there. And within that, if you go through the schools of studies, you'll have School of Social Work. So there you will find all the prospective programs that you are willing to undertake, and the coordinators, you can mail to them, or like Dr. Shantini mentioned, sosw@ignou.ac.in. All your queries will definitely be answered. I think with this, we'll come to the end of the session, and thank you so much for your active participation. Thank you,
you.
Dr. Shantini,
Thank you.
and thank you, Dr. Binod.
Are you a fresh graduate? Do you want to fulfill your educational aspiration by pursuing higher education in various interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary areas like environmental science, environment and occupational health, philosophy, sustainability science, folklore and culture studies? If yes, the School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies offers various programs like Master's Program, Graduate Program, Postgraduate Diploma, Certificate and Appreciation Program. The school offers 5 Master's Program: Master of Science, Environmental Science. The eligibility criteria for MSc Environmental Science is Graduate in Science, BTech, BE, Agriculture Graduate, Forestry Graduate and Veterinary Graduate. School also offers Masters in Environment and Occupational Health, Masters in Sustainability Science, Masters in Philosophy and Masters in Folklore and Culture Studies. The eligibility criteria for these 4 Masters program is graduate in any discipline. School also offers various socially relevant and
Welcome, welcome our learners and our audiences. And today in this program session, we will discuss about the guidelines for learners regarding fieldwork. So, fieldwork is an important component. Before starting on the fieldwork, let me introduce a guest with me, Professor Rose Nembia Kim, Director, School of Social Work, and Dr. Binod Kumar, and Dr. Saintani. We are from the School of Social Work at Indira Gandhi National Open University. So, when in social work programs, fieldwork is a very, very important component. So we know that there are several social work programs that we are offering from the school, which are Masters in Social Work, Masters in Social Work in Counseling, PG DCON, that is Postgraduate Diploma in Counseling, and Bachelor's Degree Program in Social Work, and Certificate in Social Work in Criminal Justice System. So these are the specific programs which are having fieldwork component. There are certainly other certificate programs, PhD, MPhil programs, but those so far they do not have a fieldwork component in the ODL mode. So when we talk about fieldwork practicum, let us see what are the specific fieldwork courses in these programs, and then we will move on to the guidelines. So in MSW, there are 4 fieldwork components. In the first year, there are two fieldwork components: MSWL 013, which is Social Work Practicum 1, and which is of 45 days. It is a 45 days rigorous field work, and it consists of individual conferences, orientation visits, concurrent fieldwork visits, among few. So, and also in the first year, students have to do block placement. The course code for this block placement is MSWL 014. In the second year of MSW, again there are 2 fieldwork components. MSWL 015, Social Work Practicum 2. This fieldwork practicum is of 45 days. And this MSWL 016, this is internship. This both block placement, which is in the first year, and internship, which is in the second year, they are of 30 days. Similarly, in MSW counseling, there are 4 fieldwork components, which are the same, only the course codes are different. So in the first year, the fieldwork for MSW counseling are Social Work Practicum 1, MSWL 046, and block placement MSWL 047. For MSW counseling second year, the fieldwork components are MSWL 048, Social Work Practicum 2, and MSWL 049, which is internship. Now, if we look into the fieldwork component in BSW program, so there are 6 fieldwork components, that is BSWL 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, and 109. So these 6 fieldwork components are very important because fieldwork is mandatory for the learners, and without completing fieldwork, the course remains incomplete. And similarly, in CSW CGS program, the fieldwork is MSWL 033, Social Work Practicum in Correctional Settings, and here the fieldwork is of 15 days duration. So I now request Professor Rose to talk about some of the guidelines for the learners who are enrolling for social work programs in the School of Social Work.
Thank you, Dr. Shantini. Now, when you talk about learners and talk about the complexities or the doubts that they come across, learners always come to us with a question like, what am I doing? What am I getting into? Will I be able to complete the course? What is the field work about? What do I have to do during the field work? So there are a lot of questions. So we have prepared a little bit of slide. If you can just focus on the slides right now about the kind of queries the students have. So it comes up with the lot of anxiety. First of all, my request to people who are willing to enroll in social work programs, my first request is do not feel stressed out, do not feel anxious, because the faculty in the School of Social Work is there to help you at the headquarters. Now we have regional centers spread across all over India, And within those regional centers, we have fixed study centers who are offering social work programs, and you have academic counselors as well as fieldwork supervisors who are there to always help you and who are there to listen to you. So anytime there's a problem, one can always talk to them, so there's no need to stress out and no need to feel anxious as to what to do and how to do. Now, what to do, how to do is always coming in contact with the fieldwork aspect. Like Dr. Shantini in the initial time talked about the kind of fieldwork that is existing for MSW, MSWC, BSW, and the other programs offered by the School of Social Work. So theory, everybody can do that. You have to learn, give assignments, and that's how you go about it. But fieldwork is the backbone of the social work program, and that is why we call social work program as a professional program. And without passing successfully in the fieldwork, you do not get a degree in BSW, that is Bachelor in Social Work, or Masters in Social Work. So one has to be very careful while undergoing the fieldwork. Having said that, you do not need to stress out. I reiterate my statement again, because fieldwork, the journal that you get for the fieldwork is self-explanatory. If you go through all the program guide that is being provided to you, the information is given, and in the fieldwork journal also informations are given. Now, why would one look for fieldwork placement? Now, it is learning from the others. Now, when you go for the field as a rookie, you do not know what to do or how to go about it. So when you go and place yourself in a community area or in an agency setting which may be dealing with children, women, elderly, blind, there are different kinds of issues and the different kind of organization that is working with different spectrum of people. So if you go place yourself there, learning by doing is what we focus on. So that is why the fieldwork placement is essential. And 45 days of fieldwork in master's program is giving you an exposure to the kind of situation, issues, and a concept that is emerging in different kind of agencies. So it's not necessary that you have to work only with children just because you enjoy being with children. So you have to learn and develop an intervention in other areas where you might not be comfortable, but once you are placed in the field, it might come across that you actually like certain issues and nuances of the organization, and you might be wanting to work within that. So one has to be very careful while choosing the agency. So do not be biased, because as a social worker, what we have is we have the first principle that we talk about, non-judgmental attitude. So that biasness that might be creeping into you before going to the agency has to be really stopped, and one has to be very practical about it. Now, the supervisor can identify the organization or the agency for you, but it's best that you also do that depending on the kind of work you want to do. If you want to work with old people, old age homes, this is where you'll go. If you want to work with children, this is where you want to go. If you want to work with the children with different who are differently able, to work with them, or with criminal, you can go to the jails. So there's a whole lot of organizations or issues that you can work with. Now, how do we go about it? The first one is we have supervisors. We have fieldwork supervisors who will guide you in your fieldwork. So we have individual conference. That is where you have a one-to-one interaction with your fieldwork supervisors, and they will tell you how to go about it, what to do. Now we have the group conference as well, where a collective set of students who are placed under the same academic counselor or the fieldwork supervisor will collate one day and discuss about the kind of issues they face, the problems they face, or the positivity that they encounter in the agency, and discuss what could be done. If they see a problem, they could discuss a problem. If they find that something good is there in the organization, they can discuss the same. So I guess for BSW and all the others, it is also similar to that, right?
Yes, of course. There are several concerns for our learners. When we, get the feedback from our learners, there are several concerns that they keep on, mentioning.
Right.
So some very common concerns include that is fieldwork important, and why do we need to do fieldwork? Can we complete it without, doing the fieldwork? Is it compulsory? So like theory courses, they can, there is, no necessity for them. It is not compulsory for them to attend the academic counseling or attendance is not there, although that is provided. But for fieldwork, it is very important that students, they do the fieldwork for their specified duration of the course, and for that again they need to visit the study center, because it is in the study centers where the learners are allotted with a fieldwork supervisor. Now, who are these fieldwork supervisor? They are the academic counselors who are duly approved by the School of Social Work faculties, and it is they also, the requirement for them to be academic counselors is they should have a MSW or Masters in Social Work degree. So it is very important for the learners to get in touch with the study centers where they are allotted a fieldwork supervisor, and then they can start with their fieldwork. Now, fieldwork in social work is it is a very serious activity. It is not something, SUPW or something like a NCs. It is not something like that. It is very structured, and it is very important for them to understand the need and necessity for completing the fieldwork.
It is in a way connected to the theory which we are offering as social work subject.
Absolutely. Right? So whatever they are reading, they are studying for their theory program, they are given the opportunity to practice it, observe it, and learn while doing. So it is a professional degree program, and it is very important that hands-on training is provided. So there's some minimum requirements students need to follow, that they have to very serious about it. And of course, in Indian situation, the dress code is very important. They are students, and that has to be,
you mean to say they have to look the part?
Yeah, they have to look the part. And because they are interacting with individuals, they are interacting with groups, they are interacting with communities, they are interacting with people. It is all about working with people.
Right.
So they have to build rapport with the people in order to understand the social realities, in order to understand their problems, and in order to understand how they can intervene. I mean, how they and what point they have to intervene.
Right.
So for this, it is very important that they understand people's attitude, and they should mingle with the people. So the fieldwork supervisor will guide them definitely. And for that, the study centers usually organizes the induction meeting, where it is compulsory for the learners to attend it. Here, the fieldwork supervisor conducts the induction meeting, and the supervisor will discuss about the objectives of the fieldwork of that particular year or semester, because every semester in BSW or in the MSW particular year, they have got the different objectives. So depending on the objectives, the need and relevance of the fieldwork also changes. And also the supervisor will explain about the requirements of the fieldwork in that particular year or semester. For example, in MSW, during the first year, they have to do 45 days of fieldwork. So that is a concurrent fieldwork, but they have to first do 5 orientation visits. Now, if we talk about orientation visits, it's a very important aspect, where the student visits 5 different organizations or settings, fieldwork settings for the MSW. Similarly, orientation visits are mandatory for the social work BSW program, because that is BSWG is an undergraduate program, and here the learners are introduced to the social work field for the first time, and it is in the first semester they are given an opportunity to explore a varied fieldwork settings. So if you talk about fieldwork settings, we can visualize a whole number of settings. For example, we can talk about school settings, we can talk about health settings, of course community settings are there, and there are several social welfare organizations, NGOs working with different sectors of people, women, children, elderly, and likewise. So there is the innumerable number of options for fieldwork are expected to work. So that's why orientation visits are very important. And once the students explore these settings, they can choose one particular setting for their concurrent fieldwork. Now, concurrent fieldwork in MSW, they start from the first year itself. So concurrent fieldwork will be for again 45 days. And for BSW, the concurrent fieldwork starts from the second semester. So during this whole lot of fieldwork aspects. There are certain other aspects like individual conference. What is this individual conference? Like you were mentioning that fieldwork supervisor is very important. So at every stage, the student should be in touch with the fieldwork supervisor. They will take guidance from the supervisor. They will explore, or they will put their questions. They have lot of questions in the beginning and also during the fieldwork. So that's why individual conference is very important, and they have to also write the reports.
Okay. So you're saying you mentioned about 45 days of field work, concurrent field work. Now, let's say I'm a student and I feel that I've not been able to do 45 days of concurrent field work. So, how many days is advisable to be done, or how many days would say that I've not completed my field work?
Yes, so here IGNOU provides a lot of flexibility. So as I said, the duration of the different programs are different. For example, MSW, MSWC, they have the maximum period of years is 4 years, minimum 2 years till 4 years. And for BSW, it is 3 to 6 years.
Right.
So in case the learner is unable to do the concurrent fieldwork during the particular year, so they can complete it as and when,
Okay.
as per in consultation with the supervisor.
Right.
So they can complete it, and they can, the option is also there that first year exam they can appear the theory paper, and then they can take up the field work and complete the number of duration. They can do it regularly, like continue at a stretch, but it is advisable they do twice or thrice a week, minimum 5 to 6 hours a day. So again, that will be in consultation with the fieldwork supervisor and the requirement of the setting where they are working.
Yes.
So that is very important that the student completes the required number of days, and of course that those are the minimum criteria we have kept. The student is
Yes.
again free to go for more number of
Extra.
days and write the reports accordingly. And so that is one aspect. So concurrent visits are very important, and apart from that, we are also teaching fieldwork, social work methods.
Okay.
So
Yes.
these methods also, it's very important, and they have to practice it in the field during their course of field work. So we talk about casework. So for example, in BSW, they start the concurrent fieldwork in the second semester, and in the second semester they are studying the theory course on community organization, and in fieldwork they have to practice the community organization method. So they have to write reports also. Report writing is very important. And similarly, other semesters will cover the other methods. So they will study in that particular semester and also practice the respective
In the same
in the
semester.
same semester. So likewise, the whole BSW program is organized. Similarly, in MSW also, the
Right.
first year programs cover the primary methods, casework, group work, community organization, and those methods are being practiced during their fieldwork, concurrent visits, and also block placement. So this is very important that we follow these kind of completion. So I would now request Dr. Vinod, to talk about the kind of what is report writing and what are the other requirements in the fieldwork, practicum journals.
Yes.
Dr. Binod, before
Yes.
you begin, I would just like to ask one question. Let's say fieldwork is very important,
Yes.
and in social work, it is the backbone of everything we say. Now, if a student decides, there have been lot of during my years of service also, there have been lot of debate as to one cannot offer social work in ODL. Like I know I'm cutting the discussion to a different tangent altogether,
Yes.
but what would your opinion be, because you've been a faculty in the ODL program as well as a faculty in the conventional system? So how do you see the placement of social work in the ODL line?
Placement, when we talk about placement of a student in agencies for the field work under the program of master in social work or maybe bachelor's program, you see the field work is not a distinction, because if you see field work in ODL and field work in the traditional education system, the same, because even in the traditional settings students are going for the field work, and even in the ODL system we are subjecting all students to same kind of rigor and same types of you can say working hour we are putting them. And if you see because our learners are coming from a diverse background. So we can't compare, but the setting is different. The point is that this program is equal in rigor, and especially if you see the fieldwork component, there is no difference. And I will say that even they have leverage in ODL system. They have leverage that they can go more than that.
Okay.
Many times, if students are ready to intervene, or if they feel that they will take time to wind up their work in the field during the field work, they have option. But when we talk about traditional system, it is not, because they are going on a certain fixed days of a week.
Right.
So that is not available. Another point which is very remarkable, and I would say that advantageous point for the learners in ODL, because it is a fieldwork based discipline. Because if you see, the learners in ODL is going constantly in the field. That means they have leverage to go continuous in the field. So learning is not getting interrupted in between. If you see in traditional system, people are going 1 day or 2 day. This is the standard practice across the social work educational institutions. They are going, and in between they are 3-4 days they are taking pause. So what is happening is that in this particular process, their intervention or whatever Dr. Santini was telling, that they have to do practice or methods of practice in the field. So when you have an interruption in between, and in between you are going off and on, you are going into the field, that becomes difficult.
Right.
So in ODL system, it is important to recognize that these are the strengths which ODL system is providing.
Right.
And when we talk about the standards practice, methodological practice in social work, obviously if you are going, you have every opportunity to make some indelible mark in the community if you are going, because if you are if you are there for a month, like 45 days or maybe for 30 days also, so you have ample opportunity to do something that is not getting percolated in the ODL, in traditional system.
Okay.
This is the strength.
Okay. Thank you so much. You can carry on.
So I was about to talk about the concerns of fieldwork, which Dr. Santini had left, and I'm going to take it forward. That when we talk about fieldwork in ODL, there are the ODL fieldwork is a complete package. It is not a standalone. As she has already narrated that it is coming when we are we are giving self-learning material on community development. In fieldwork, it is directly reflected in that semester itself. So this is the integration of SLM as well as fieldwork in the same semester. So when learners are going into the field, they are not left into the lurch, and they are not knowing what they have to do, because the same year it is all connected. That means when they are going into the field, they have enough material and enough food for thought in their mind that how they will do the field work, how they will do some methodological practice in the field work during their preparation of journal. Another point which is very important, and quickly I would like to run through, is report writing. Many learners I have found during my teaching career that many are wonderful social workers. They are going into the field and they are going very good work. But the problem with them is that they are not able to document their work. This is a major lacuna many social workers are finding into the field. So your report writing has to be a very detailed, and very when you are writing, even minute details has to be there. Why? Because there are many contestations, not only in India, across the globe, that social work is a generic discipline. It is not providing some additional component. So when we are talking about that, you have to think that how processes we are adopting or methodological underpinnings we are adopting are completely different from other discipline. Then only you will be able to establish your discipline in a distinctive manner. So when we are talking about report writing, when you are going into the field, you must be culturally sensitive. You don't try to pull out your pen and try to write something very essential information which you are feeling that it is important to write because I have to write the report. So don't do that. Be culturally sensitive. Whenever you are going, you go with the preparation. That means basic preparation you have to do before going into the field. Don't venture into the field just because you are trying to document or trying to fill the fieldwork journal. So when we are talking about report writing, keep a small diary with you. And whenever you are finding some important information, don't bring all big booklets in front of your client or whenever you are interacting with them. Just you find time in between the interaction and you find time and you just quickly note the essential information, not very details you have to note, because many times people are not very comfortable when you are writing some information. They will not be able to share you or they feel threatened. There are many problems with that also. So when we are talking about report writing, first you do homework and you prepare enough resources so that you can jot down all these materials into your journals. So when you are preparing your journals, just keep in mind that you have to be very honest in preparing that. Integrity is one of the most important component when you are preparing fieldwork. Try to write whatever you are facing in the field. Don't try to F others. Don't try to copy others that they have written 4 or 5 pages and you are able to write 3 pages. These are not indicators for us. Whenever we are writing fieldwork, just try to focus on the whatever you are facing and whatever you are able to connect. That means theoretical as well as your fieldwork practice, whatever you are doing in the field during preparation of your journal. So be honest to that. You will find that if you are preparing your small notes, and the same day you have to prepare the fieldwork. One point I would like to underline, that you don't have to take 15 days, 1 week, because by the time you are starting to write, you will forget the narratives because you don't have all the narrative at your small diary. So try to write every evening. You try to prepare your fieldwork. Whatever you have faced, whatever you have discussed with your client or the community or individual in the society, whatever you have observed, you try to jot down in the same day. Your fieldwork will come out very wonderful and very good if you are practicing all these things. One important another point which I wanted to highlight is that many of us are very poor in observation. Observation is one of the most important component. Whenever you are going into the field, only by observation you can know the economic and social status of the community. Only by observation. So whenever you are going into the field, keep your eyes and ear open. You hear the conversation. Many times we are not talking and conversing with the people. Just by observing 2 people conversing at some point or some junction in the community, we observe that what are the problems in the community. So it is very important that whenever you are going, you go with the blank mind. Don't go with the presumptions. Don't go with the some judgment that this particular community is like that, this particular community is a slum. Just go and just go with a learning perspective. And with this, I would like to invite my co-colleagues, co-panelists.
Yes. So in this session today, we have discussed about the concerns of fieldwork for our learners, and we have discussed the several fieldwork the courses which are there in MSW counseling, BSW, CSW, CJS. So we have discussed the fieldwork components, the courses, and what are the requirements of fieldwork. We have covered the importance of orientation visits, concurrent visits. We have covered how fieldwork report writing is important. So I thank Professor Rose and Dr. Binod Kumar for their fruitful comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you.